The harsh reply. Part 4. The last experiment. The reflection that shouldn't exist. Sarah's breath came in short gasps as she stared at the man inside the glass chamber. He was her father, but he wasn't. Every tiny movement she made, every twitch, every breath, he mirrored her exactly as if he were her shadow. Jake's voice was barely a whisper. "Sarah, that's not him." The air in the underground facility was thick with the smell of metal and antiseptic. The flickering fluorescent lights overhead cast eerie shadows, making the glass chamber almost seem to shift. Her pulse pounded. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake swallowed hard, keeping his gun raised. "This isn't just a storage facility, it's a lab. And if your father was running, it means they weren't just after him." Sarah turned to him. "Then what the hell is this?" Jake exhaled sharply. "It's you." Her blood turned to ice. The horrifying truth. Before Sarah could process Jake's words, a mechanical beep filled the chamber. The glass hissed as it slid open. The man, her father's clone, stepped forward. Sarah stumbled backward, heart racing. It wasn't just the way he moved, it was his eyes. Cold, calculating, wrong. Jake snapped his gun up, but the clone smiled. "You should put that down, Jake." Jake's grip tightened. "You don't get to talk to me like you're him." The clone tilted his head. "But I am him, just better." Sarah's stomach twisted. "You're not real." The clone took a slow step toward her. "Then why do I remember everything?" Her breath hitched. "This isn't possible," she whispered. But Jake's expression told her otherwise. Her father hadn't just run from people. He had run from himself. The chase. Through the lab, a distant alarm blared through the facility. Sarah flinched. Jake cursed. "They know we're here." They had to move. But the clone was still between them and the exit. Sarah took a slow step back. "We need to go." The clone smirked. "You'll never make it out." Then, the lights shut off. A split second of absolute darkness. Then chaos, a metallic screech. The sound of running footsteps. Jake grabbed Sarah's wrist. "Go, go!" They sprinted into the hallway as red emergency lights flickered to life. The sound of gunfire erupted behind them. Sarah didn't dare look back. She could hear him following. Not running, just walking. Like he knew he didn't need to hurry. Her lungs burned as she and Jake took a sharp turn into another corridor. Rows of glass chambers lined the walls, each one filled with people. People who looked identical. Sarah's stomach turned. "This wasn't just about my father," she whispered. "They've been doing this for years." Jake pulled her forward. "We have to keep moving." They burst into another room, this one lined with computers. Sarah's eyes darted to the monitors. Security feeds, lab reports, test logs, and then a file with her name on it. Sarah Carter. Status: active experiment. Her heart stopped. Before she could read more, a voice rang out behind them. "You weren't supposed to find this." The final stand. Sarah spun around. The clone stood in the doorway. Blood dripped from his fingers. Jake's gun was gone. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. "What did you do?" The clone smiled. Jake should have known better. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. You're lying. The clone tilted his head. Am I? He took a slow step forward. You see, Sarah, you and I are alike. More than you think. Her chest tightened. What are you talking about? The clone smirked. You keep searching for answers, but you already know the truth. Sarah shook her head. No, you're just some sick experiment. The clone's eyes gleamed. And so are you. The words slammed into her like a brick wall. Her knees buckled. No, she whispered. The clone took another step forward. Tell me, Sarah, why do you think your father was so desperate to keep you away from all this? Her mind swam. Memories flashed her father's paranoia, his cryptic warnings, the way people always seemed to be watching her. No, this wasn't right. She wasn't like him. She was real. Vasntshe. The clone stopped just inches from her. You're not his daughter, he whispered. You're his replacement. The final choice. Sarah's head spun. Everything, the text messages, the warnings, the facility, it all made sense now. Her father hadn't just been running from the government. He had been running from her, or rather, from the truth about her. She was never his daughter. She was the experiment. Jake had known. That's why he had tried to get her out before she learned the truth. Tears blurred her vision. No, that's not true. The clone simply smiled. Then prove it. Sarah's fingers curled around a metal scalpel from the nearby table. The clone didn't move, didn't flinch. Go ahead, he murmured. Sarah's heart pounded. Then she lunged. The blade sank deep into his chest. The clone stumbled back. For a split second, his face twisted in pain. Then he laughed. Sarah's breath caught. You still don't get it, do you? The clone whispered. Sarah stepped back. Something wasn't right. The clone smiled one last time. Then his skin started to shift. Sarah's own face stared back at her. Her stomach dropped. The clone took its final breath and collapsed. The lights flickered. Sarah felt the room spinning around her. Her mind screamed at her to run, but where? She wasn't supposed to be here. She was never supposed to know. As the alarms blared louder, Sarah stumbled toward the exit. The entire facility was locking down. But before she could escape, a voice echoed over the speakers. A voice she knew, her father's voice. Sarah, if you're hearing this, it's already too late. End. If you like content like this, please subscribe. Press the like link to help our channel out. Thank you for watching.